It is Sunday, and that means it's time for another Nightmare Corridor and Cursed Realm weekly video guide from me. So let's start out in the Nightmare Corridor, and I'll show you guys my teams, and I'll also show you guys a general guide, and then I'll leak you guys the tech for ranking higher in the Nightmare Corridor. As you can see, last week I was able to barely stay in the top 200. For region 7 obviously, which is the easiest region, but still I believe my time was pretty optimized last week. This time around my time could be a little bit better. I think I could hit 215 if I hit the Nuts Scarlet RNG along with some other RNG things, but we'll take those as they come. So for the first team here, this is the Scarlet team. Now for this team, it's pretty stable. If you want to hit the insane Scarlet times, you need SI 40 on Scarlet and maybe even on Eugene, as well as you can also try slotting in, I did that for a few rounds, you can try slotting in Robin Hood if you have him built out instead of Atheist. For some people that works better. For me, definitely did not work better. Here are the collections. Again, this is a medium RNG team, and sometimes you hit a crazy round, but most of the time it's, for me, around 22 to 26 seconds. The next team here, this is a stable team. So for the Nightmare Corridor, we have three supposedly stable teams, and then you have 3 RNG teams. So this is another stable team. As you can see here, it's doing 27 seconds. I was actually swapping around some collections and I was able to bring it down to 25 seconds. However, I wasn't able to hit the RNG on some of the other teams, as we'll see here. But yeah, nothing to change in here, and you need Trasia's Engraving 30 for this team to work. Next up, this is the Seal team. Now for the Seal team, here are some variants, and I'll show you guys that afterwards. Mainly, you can do a Sophia variant of the Seal team, you can do a Awakened Thane variant of the Seal team as well, and a Rem variant of the Seal team. But for me, none of those work, so I'm doing a trusty, steady old Leica variant of the team, which means I won't have Leica available for the last round, so I'll show you guys what I did there. But yeah, for me, I'm using a Leica variant of the Seal team, but I'll also show you guys later on some other variants depending on the heroes you have available. Here, this is the Baden round. I'm using the Dragon Pet. It was able to RNG the highest, or the lowest time, I should say, down to, I think I hit around 26 seconds with super heavy RNG. Like, it could be 33 seconds, and most often it's above 30 seconds for this round as well. But yeah, it's RNG. This is one of the RNG teams. Next up, here's actually a stable team, and for this team, I should show you guys the collections. Not that they are any good, but I will show you guys the collections just for completionist sake anyways. So for this team here, obviously if you can free up Liberta, she slots into this team, and you can make the mega team in here instead of Vithiel. But yeah, for me, I'm using Vithiel, taking advantage of the 3 Celestial buff. I'm also using the Winged Lion in here. You can also use the Souffle, the cake throwing pet, and that works out pretty well as well. For this specific formation, I actually had to do some switch ups here, and the main thing is I had to equip 2 of this type of tank relics on these 2 heroes, and then I was able to basically stable hit 20 seconds, which I'm okay. Like, I'm decently happy with 20 seconds for this team. And now for this team, this is actually where I would say there's a lot to be gained. Now for the pet here, it almost doesn't matter. You can use the talisman as I'm using in here, but what's even better than this is actually you can use Blade Ridge, you can use Winged Lion and then use Souffle in here, or you can use Souffle in here and use Winged Lion in here. The main thing about this team is actually it's pretty stable for me, and I'm able to do it with just a Mythic plus SI20 Vika, right? So if you can just hero select, if you don't have her, select summon 4 copies of her and take her to 26 to item. This is a very good alternative to the teams currently used in here. I believe Vika is actually kind of the future for lower accounts for this round. But I do want to show you guys some alternative formations. So these were my formations, and I'll just show you guys because those were my best hit, right? But in theory, this is the best in slot formations, which was the one that I would have ran if I could hit the RNGs. As you can see, the Scarlet team didn't hit, but as you can see here, I was able to bring this down with some collection changes. This was the same, obviously it's a terrible hit. This was the same, obviously it's a terrible hit. This was almost the same, but I swapped the pet, and then in here I swapped the pet, and I also took Vika to Ascended. And as you can see, Well, in theory, this could go down another 2 seconds to around 18 seconds with RNG, but I'm not willing to retry any further. So before we head onto the Curse Realm, I'm going to show you guys 2 things. First of all, we're going to head over to the browser, and I'm going to show you guys, which obviously I'll link this guide in the description as well. I believe this is Chinese, a Chinese guide for the Nightmare Corridor round, this time around. This has a lot more focus on like the top end of the Nightmare Corridor, but for me, obviously many of these teams are kind of unusable, but I'll show you guys these teams anyways. So for this team, as you can see here, they're using the Robin Hood version, and that didn't work for me at all. These notes here are the collections. Now I don't speak the language, but you can use a translation app or a third-party device, and you could figure out what collections these are meant for. But for me, I couldn't be bothered because this team just didn't work at all. And obviously, I believe this. Hopefully, this says something about Scarlet SI40 being needed to hit the 10-second mark, because that is the case for this team. Here it actually lists a variant without Trashea. So if you guys don't have Trashea, but you have Belinda, you could try out this variant. I haven't personally tried it myself. But yeah, this is the stable team here, and nothing to be spoken of here. Now for this team here, obviously if you can do the Thane Seal team, that's good. If you can do the Rem Seal team, that's also, or not Rem Seal team, but the Sophia Seal team, this one can also use Rem. That's obviously also good. But for me, neither of these are usable. This team doesn't work, and I don't have Thane. So yeah, not really alternative options for me. But that's something that you could think about if you have either of those heroes. Here, as you can see, yeah, it's the exact team that I'm using. They only list these 2 pets. I would add the Dragon pet onto this one, because that was the best pet for me. Here, as I said earlier, if you can free up Liberta to use in this round, you can make a crazy good Athalia team, right? That can kill the boss really fast. But for me, I needed Liberta in here because I can't use the Leica variant in here, and I also can't use this variant down here. But yeah, if you have freed up Leica from your Seal team, you can use Leica in this team here for a pretty good time. And obviously, if you don't have Leica, you can use this variant that uses Liberta, which means you have to cook in this variant. But you could do what I did in this variant and use Vithiel instead of Liberta to some moderate amount of success. Also, they should add the Souffle as an alternative pet in here. But yeah, I mean, I didn't personally follow this one myself, but I saw it on the crowdsourcing Discord server, so I wanted to show you guys this one as well. But what I actually did, and now you get a behind the scenes, is I scoured the leaderboard for people using formations that I could feasibly copy myself. So here's a formation. Shoutouts obviously to the people who made these formations. For here it's Light Camera. Now he was the one. Well, he's not the one, but he is using a round 6 without Vika. So if you don't have Vika, you can use Karasio in here, which I thought was interesting. So I wanted to show you guys this one. And obviously, what I was looking for mainly was people who used the Leica Seal version, and who didn't use either Gavious or some unreachable Thane team. So here, my love, Saber, obviously a Fate reference. I love Fate as well, so that's huge. A brother-in-arm here. He's using pretty much what I ended up using, right? Which is the Leica version of the Seal team. And then he used, obviously for these 3 teams, they are stable, right? For the Scarlet team is stable, and the Seal, or not the Seal team, the Trashea team is stable, and the Baden team is stable. So what actually matters is these 3 rounds, right? Round 3, round 5, and round 6. That's where you have to do your cooking. So for him, he used the Leica version of the Seal team. Then he used Vithiel over Liberta, and then he freed up Liberta, and he was able to make this team. Now, obviously for this, I'm using Vika over Awakened Sophia. If you have Awakened Sophia, you could try this team out. I tried this team out, but it wasn't better for me. But obviously for some of you guys, it might be better. Then we head down here, and here is a guy using Vika, right? So he's using a pretty similar, I believe, only a bit of positional difference between his team and my team. And then for the for his Athalia round, he's using Gavious, so I wasn't able to copy this one. But I thought it was interesting because he doesn't have the 9 furniture and authors, which I actually thought was a requirement for this team. But yeah, I mean, somehow he made it work without it. And obviously he uses the Leica variant, which is, as you can see, this is like a common theme, right? I only pick people who use Leica Seal because that's the only Seal team I can make work. So that's like the first step. And then I check if they use any other disgusting heroes that I can't use. So here's an interesting one that didn't work for me, but maybe it works for some of you guys. He's completely ignoring, I don't know if that's intentional, but he's ignoring the 3 buff Celestial round here and using Skrek instead of what I would use Vithiel in here. And then for the last round here, he's using Vika. And I wanted to show you guys this one because look at his time here. This could obviously be down to either the large tree, the level 19 Winged Lyle, or probably the SI40 Liberta, right? Those are all options that could improve the team. But yeah, Vika definitely has insane potential in here, and I'm probably just gonna like throw her on the furniture wish list, and I might even do a star and do some engraving and test her out probably for the next round. And then lastly here, again, the Leica Seal variant, and then in here also a Skrek user, and then lastly in here he's also using a Vika variant. These 2 teams are actually, I believe they are identical. But yeah, that's what I do, right? I look through the leaderboard. I find teams that I know for a fact the only Seal team I can make is the Leica Seal team. So I sift through everything. And if they don't use Leica, I just immediately skip, right? Because it's the only Seal team I can make. And then I look at their formations for these 2 teams, the last 2 ones, because everything else is stable. And then I decide based on that if it's something that I wanted to try out. And that's how I ended up with the formations that I used. And even though there could be improvements, again, I think I can hit like 215 with RNG. As you can see already, I have spent a good amount of diamonds retrying. Now, that was a long-winded Nightmare Corridor. Let's do a TLDR for the people in the back. TLDR, Team 1, Team 2, and Team 4 are all stable teams. There are no variations of these teams. So, what you need to make sure is you need to find some variation of Team 3, the Seal team, Team 4, the Athalia team, and Team 5, the, well, for me, Vika team. You need to find some variation that works for you on these teams. And I'm aiming for around 20 seconds on each of them. So yeah, you're going to have to mix and match. If you're able to use a different Seal team than the Leica team, like if you can use the Thane Seal team, or if you can use the Awakened Saphir Seal team, that helps you tremendously because then you can free up Leica, which means you can use Leica in this team, and then you can free up Liberta, which means you can use Liberta in this team, and your time will be absolutely insane. Like you could probably gain another 10 seconds or more on my time, right, and hit like 2:05 or even below 2 minutes. But for me, that doesn't work, and for most of you guys, that probably won't work as well. Right, let's head over to the Cursed Realm. Now, for the Cursed Realm, this is not the Cursed Realm. For the Cursed Realm, yeah, this is kind of a grief because I mean, I'll show you guys my best team, and then I'll tell you guys why you can't replicate it. So for the first team here, it's the Baden team, right, with the Spooter pet. Again, I'm murking a Baden. I don't have a Baden. It's a big Baden, and it's big RNG. Huge RNG on this team. It flops or it hits. For the second team, it's the Belinda team, obviously SP on Belinda, another RNG team, right, so it either hits or it doesn't. Next team, this is the Rem team. A bit of RNG here. It can actually totally flop, but for the most part, it's pretty stable around like the 9 to 10 billion mark for me. Obviously, if my tree was higher, maybe it would do better, or if I had a better collection on Rem or whatever. Who knows at this point with all the different variables. Now, this is the reason why you can't replicate my best hit. It's because I propped all my trials, and there was a Dragon variant of the Seal team that I took advantage of earlier this week. Now, obviously, the trials have run out for most people, or I believe all people, so you can't replicate this. And for that, I'm sorry, but I'll show you guys what I did without it as well. But yeah, obviously, this Seal team is really good, right? It hits for 14, where usually my Seal team hits for around 10, right? So that's a 4 billion increase that you can't replicate. But I'll show you guys the Seal team that I'm using. And then in here, right, this is the Soulless team. Nothing much to note in here. There's actually a Leica variant, and I'll also show you guys that one. If you also have Awakened Leica, you can use that. And obviously, if you had Awakened Lucius, you can use him, because I believe that's the best in slot for this team. And then lastly in here, not much to note. One thing that I will note, though, is that Rosaline follows Aggress, right? So obviously you can't replicate those teams. So I'll show you guys some hits without the dragons. So that one is with the dragon. Do we have it like a decent hit? I mean, this one has to be without. Okay, so here, right, here's the seal team that you can replicate, right? Because it uses no dragon, and I'm using the Trashir seal team. And I believe, yeah, so in here I'm using the Leica variant, right, where I'm using both Soulless and Leica, and along with the Fox. And that will say, I guess it's a 1 billion increase. But other than that, it's all the same. As you can see, I missed the RNG here. So if this one actually hit the 21 billion, I could hit like 81 or 82 billion total damage if I could hit the Baden RNG. But I'm not really willing to spend any more diamonds retrying in the Cursed Realm. But what I am willing to do is head back over to the browser real quick and show you guys. So this was the Nightmare Corridor Chinese guide, and here is the Cursed Realm Chinese guide. So again, I don't speak the language, and obviously I could be ignorant, and this might not even be Chinese. But yeah, as you can see here, right, they talk about the triple whammy Draconis trial hero combo you can do in the SEAL team. But other than that, for Cursed Realm there isn't much cooking, or there is, but I'm not doing any cooking because for the most part I can make the best in slot formations. So as you can see here, this is the exact formation I used. This is the exact formation I used. Here's some variants, right? So you could try out using Brutus with the Winged Lion, or you can try out this variant down here. I'm guessing that's if you don't have Awakened Saphir, you can try it with Soulless. Obviously for me, this was the best SEAL team. I can't make this SEAL team. Then I guess this is the second best SEAL team, but I can't make this SEAL team either because it's using 2 Hypergen heroes that I don't have. And this is the, I believe this is actually the exact SEAL team that I'm using. Yeah. And then down here, as you can see, if you have Lucius, obviously you use Lucius in here. If you don't have Lucius, you can use the Soulless plus Leica comp, or you can use the only Soulless comp that I showed you earlier in the video. And then in here, right, I mean, I guess I can't read any of this, but these formations are pretty stable. And if you are, excuse me, if you're in the position that you don't have Awakened Athalia, you can try using Scarlet in here as well. So I'll link both these Chinese guides in the description, and hopefully you can use, mainly you can use my Nightmare Corridor formations, or like the way that I view the Nightmare Corridor. If you're a newer account, go look through the Region 7 leaderboards, right? Because most people have weaker accounts in here. Go look for teams you can replicate. Again, for me, I look for the SEAL team. For example, this is not something I can replicate, so I just skip that one. And I go find someone who uses Leica in the SEAL team. Again, Thane in the SEAL team. That's just instant skip. Here's a Leica in the SEAL team. All right, so that means I could probably use his formations. And then I look in here, and I can tell that I can also use this formation. And then I look in here, and I can tell that I can't use this formation, right? Because he's using Gabius. But yeah, that's just the way I view Nightmare Corridor. I sift through the leaderboard. I see what I can copy, I see what I can't copy, and then I mix and match based on that myself. And again, I care a lot more about the Nightmare Corridor than the Cursed Realm, because I can't really compete in the Cursed Realm. Yeah, I mean, this was probably more rambly than usual, but that's it for me. I'll see you guys next Sunday. Maybe. I actually have an exam the Monday following that Sunday, so I can't actually make any promises that I'll make a video on Sunday. But yeah, that's it for me. See ya.